It was the year 1704, and the ship, the Cinque Ports, was in serious trouble, floating off the coast of what we now know as Chile. The wood was riddled with shipworms, threatening to turn the vessel into a watery grave at any moment. A Scottish sailor, Alexander Selkirk, saw the danger clear as day. He knew staying on that rotting ship was a death sentence waiting to happen. He argued with the captain, Thomas Stradling, insisting they needed to make urgent repairs before sailing any further into the vast, unforgiving Pacific. But the captain wouldn't listen, dismissing Selkirk's pleas with a stubborn mind. Selkirk's gut feeling, that instinct for survival, screamed at him that the ship was a death trap. His decision was a massive gamble, one that most men would never dare to take. Selkirk declared he would rather be left behind on the uninhabited island they were near, known then as Masa Tierra, than risk drowning at sea. He believed his chances were better on solid ground, even if it meant being completely alone. At first he probably thought the captain would call his bluff or that another ship would soon follow. He packed a few essentials: a musket, some gunpowder, a knife, a Bible, some navigation tools, and a bit of bedding. This was his survival kit, the foundation upon which his entire existence would depend for the foreseeable future. As the longboat rowed away, leaving him standing on the shore, a powerful wave of regret hit him hard. He suddenly realized the sheer magnitude of his choice. The reality of his isolation crashed down on him. He pleaded for the ship to come back, but his cries were lost to the wind and the waves. The Cinque Ports sailed on, becoming a smaller and smaller speck on the horizon until it vanished completely. Selkirk was now utterly alone, a solitary man on a patch of land in the middle of a vast ocean. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sounds of the sea and the cries of distant birds. In a twisted turn of fate, Selkirk's impulsive and desperate decision was the very thing that saved him. He had chosen the island over the ship, and his instincts were proven right. Not long after abandoning him, the Cinque Ports met its grim end. The ship, just as he had predicted, sank off the coast of Peru. The few crew members who managed to survive the wreck were captured by the Spanish and faced a harsh fate in prisons. Selkirk, though facing the incredible challenge of solitude, had unknowingly chosen life. He was alone, but he was free and, most importantly, alive. His real test of survival was just beginning. During his first months on the island, Selkirk stayed close to the shoreline, a place both of hope and of harsh reality. He spent his days scanning the endless horizon, praying for the sight of a friendly sail. His diet was grim, but it kept him alive. He relied on what the sea offered, catching spiny lobsters, crayfish, and shellfish from the rocky coast. These were easy to find and provided essential protein. For water, he was fortunate. The island had fresh streams flowing down from the hills. But the coast was a noisy and crowded place. Thousands of massive sea lions and fur seals would come ashore to mate, their roars and bellows echoing day and night, making rest impossible. The constant presence of the enormous sea lions soon became more than just a nuisance. It became a territorial conflict. These powerful animals, some weighing thousands of pounds, controlled the beaches. They were aggressive and protective of their space, forcing Selkirk to make a critical decision. He had to abandon his coastal perch and venture into the island's unknown interior. This was a daunting move, leaving behind the familiar shoreline and the hope of a quick rescue. But survival is all about adaptation. He had to explore deeper into the island to find safety, shelter, and a more reliable source of food away from the chaos of the coast. Moving inland was a game-changer. The island's interior was a lush, green world, a stark contrast to the rocky shore. Here Selkirk discovered a treasure trove of resources that would become the cornerstone of his survival. He found wild turnips, which he could boil to make a warm, nourishing meal. He also identified the leaves of the cabbage palm, which provided another source of vital nutrients. But his greatest discovery was the large population of feral goats. These animals had been introduced to the island by earlier sailors and had since thrived, providing a consistent and valuable source of meat and milk for the castaway. Securing food was now a daily challenge of hunting and foraging. Initially, Selkirk used his musket to hunt the goats, but his supply of gunpowder was precious and limited. He knew it wouldn't last forever, so he had to rely on his physical abilities. He became an incredible runner, his body hardened by the constant chase. Over time, he grew so fast and agile that he could outrun the goats, catching them with his bare hands. This incredible feat was a testament to his physical transformation. He had gone from a sailor to a true hunter-gatherer, his skills honed by a desperate need to survive each day. With his food and water sources secured, Selkirk's next priority was shelter. He needed protection from the unpredictable island weather, the rain, the wind, and the cool nights. His first attempts were likely simple, but he soon became a skilled builder. Using the resources around him, he constructed 2 sturdy huts. He used the wood from pimento trees, which gave off a fragrant, spicy scent. For the roofs, he thatched them with long, tough grasses, creating a waterproof barrier against the elements. One hut served as his kitchen and dining area, while the other was his sleeping quarters, providing him with a sense of home and order in his solitary world. Clothing was another pressing issue. The clothes he had worn from the ship had long since disintegrated, worn away by the rough environment and constant use. He needed a replacement to protect his skin from the sun, thorns, and insect bites. The goats he hunted provided the perfect solution. He learned to cure the goatskins, turning them into durable leather. Using a nail he had salvaged, he painstakingly poked holes into the skins and then threaded them together with strips of gut. He crafted a simple cap, a jacket, and leggings. This new attire was practical and rugged, perfectly suited for his life as an island survivor. Tools are essential for any survival situation, and Selkirk had to be resourceful. His knife was his most prized possession, but he needed more. He found a few iron hoops left behind on the beach, likely from old barrels washed ashore from a past shipwreck. This was a fantastic find. He spent countless hours hammering and sharpening the metal against rocks, slowly forging them into new blades. He fashioned a new, larger knife, a chopper, and other implements that made tasks like butchering goats, clearing paths, and carving wood much easier. He had become a blacksmith, a carpenter, and a tailor, a true master of his domain. However, the island had another threat, one that came in the dark: rats. The island was swarming with them, and they were bold. At night they would gnaw on his feet and try to steal his precious food supplies. They were a constant, unnerving presence. To combat this plague, Selkirk used a clever and unconventional strategy. He noticed the island also had a population of feral cats, likely descendants of pets from previous ships. He began to befriend them, offering them scraps of goat meat. Soon, he had tamed a large number of cats who became his loyal companions and, more importantly, his personal bodyguards, keeping the rat population firmly under control. Surviving physically was one thing, but the mental battle was a different kind of war. Selkirk was completely alone for over 4 years. The crushing weight of loneliness and despair was a constant enemy. Imagine not speaking to another human being for that long. The silence could drive a person mad. To keep his sanity, he had to keep his mind active. He developed a strict daily routine which gave his life structure and purpose. He divided his days into tasks: hunting, foraging, maintaining his huts, and exploring. This disciplined approach helped him fight off the psychological demons that threatened to consume him. One of his most powerful tools against despair was his Bible. It was his only connection to his past life, his culture, and his faith. He would read passages from it aloud every day. This not only provided spiritual comfort but also allowed him to hear the sound of a human voice, even if it was his own. By reading aloud, he was able to preserve his ability to speak. He also found solace in singing psalms, his voice echoing through the empty valleys of his island kingdom. These simple acts of reading and singing became vital rituals that kept his mind sharp and his spirit from breaking under the immense strain of solitude. Then, on February 2, 1709, after 4 years and 4 months of isolation, the impossible happened. 2 English privateering ships, the Duke and the Duchess, anchored off the coast of his island. The captain, Woodes Rogers, sent a landing party ashore and they were stunned by what they found. They saw a wild-looking man, clad in goatskins, who could barely speak. He was so unaccustomed to human interaction that his words were difficult to understand at first. Selkirk, overwhelmed with emotion, finally had his prayers answered. His long, lonely vigil was over. He was rescued. Selkirk's incredible story of survival quickly became famous back in England. He was a celebrity, the real Robinson Crusoe. His tale of resourcefulness and resilience captured the public's imagination. A writer named Daniel Defoe heard about his adventure and was deeply inspired. In 1719, Defoe published his novel, The Life and Strange Surprising Adventures of Robinson Crusoe. While Defoe added fictional elements like cannibals and his companion Friday, the core of the story, the shipwreck, the island survival, the crafting of a new life from nothing, was drawn directly from Alexander Selkirk's real-life ordeal. Selkirk's incredible will to live not only saved his own life but also gave the world one of its greatest adventure stories.
So hit that subscribe and ring that bell too, for history's wonders waiting for you. Billy at Works, let the knowledge ignite, exploring the past with all of our might.